Matthew Stafford goes back to the Rams, and the New York Giants start chasing Aaron Rodgers. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Matthew Stafford is back with the LA Rams, and that saga is over with. For about 7 to 8 days, there was a glimmer of hope, especially for New York Giants fans, that we had, it was possible that Matthew Stafford would be suiting up for the New York Giants come September. That was possible. And guess what? It's not possible anymore. And you know what? I will say this. Thank you, LA Rams, for taking that off of the table. What it would have cost in draft capital, what it would have cost in salary cap, it would have been a $90 to $100 million lease, 2-year lease of a quarterback. And you're not guaranteed to have a Super Bowl window either because of how the rest of the roster looks. But guess what? The same GM that told you he wouldn't throw any Hail Marys, he wasn't going to work out of desperation, that same guy, Matthew Stafford would have been the ultimate Hail Mary, in my opinion. Ultimate Hail Mary. And you know what? Maybe you would have saved your job, Joe Shane, but you probably wouldn't have saved the franchise because it would have felt good for about 2 years. And then once Matthew Stafford had enough, he would have either retired or maybe even after 1 year, he said, you know what? I'm not playing for this team. And left, and we would have been right back in the same boat. So thank you, LA Rams, for that. Now let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Let's get into this. I saw on Twitter that somebody said, if the New York Giants get Aaron Rodgers, that will be a steal. And they put some highlight videos and clips underneath the post. It wasn't highlights from the Jets. It was the very first highlight was Aaron Rodgers throwing to Jordy Nelson. Are you kidding me? You want to defend the argument of Aaron Rodgers being a steal and then put up clips and highlights of plays thrown almost 10 years ago. I might be over-exaggerating. Maybe it was 6 years ago. Maybe 7, 8 years. Actually, it might have been 10 years ago. But the whole point is, the Aaron Rodgers that he posted in those clips are not the Aaron Rodgers that the New York Giants were getting. And that's one thing that we need to understand. What Aaron Rodgers are you getting? This ain't Wolverine Aaron Rodgers. This is Logan, old man Logan Aaron Rodgers. Gray hair and everything, Logan. What does he have left in the tank? Does he really want to play? What is some of his other interests? Is he going to be a distraction? All those things follow Aaron Rodgers. And then at the end of the day, he can walk away and say, you know what, I had enough, I'm going to retire. Now, this is how the Aaron Rodgers thing works for me. The Aaron Rodgers thing works for me only if this happens. You get Aaron Rodgers and somehow you still land Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. That's the only way the thing works, in my opinion. A lot of people say, you know what, you get Aaron Rodgers, he's the bridge to Arch Manning. So you're talking about, listen, and let's settle one thing really quick, because a lot of people believe that Arch Manning is coming out in 2026. One thing that the Mannings do is graduate. The Mannings absolutely graduate. The Mannings absolutely play a lot of college football. I don't think it's realistic. And a lot of people will say the same thing. First of all, Arch Manning ain't coming out to 2027. 2027. And if you pick up Aaron Rodgers, I expect the New York Giants should be at least a little bit better, right? We saw what he did with the Jets, right? Look how he carried the Jets. Oh, yeah, the Jets are picking top 10 too. So to me, it's like, okay, we get Aaron Rodgers, right? We get Aaron Rodgers and you bring him to a team with a roster that's not as good as the Jets roster was last year. And you expect him to do what? Work magic? I don't know. I would much rather spend that time developing a future franchise quarterback. So even if I got to struggle a little bit more, at least I know I'm building towards the future. I'm not building towards a small window of time where, guess what, the fans feel good because we can call Aaron Rodgers our quarterback. Now let's get into something that's really real. Let's get into something that's really real here. Why don't you just sign Russell Wilson? Why don't you sign Jameis Winston. It doesn't cost you nearly as much money, especially when it comes to Jameis Winston. And also, you already know what the deal is when you're getting somebody like Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, especially when it comes to Jameis Winston. You're drafting a quarterback. And you're going to have Jameis Winston in the room with that quarterback. And I don't think anybody's going to argue the point that Jameis Winston is good for a locker room. Now, some people might say it's a show, preacher Jameis Winston, whatever, but the teams like him. The media likes him. New York Giants need that. Outside of play on the field and stuff like that, and he can go vertical. He does what Brian Daboll says he wants to do. He wants to go deep. Pause. Jameis Winston is still that. Now, you don't expect a lot of wins. You don't expect him to change the face of the franchise, but that's not why you get Jameis Winston. You get Jameis Winston to be a true bridge quarterback, knowing that the New York Giants most likely are going to get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, and we can move this thing forward. But when you get Aaron Rodgers, people get all tingly inside. Pause. They get all hopeful. Rightfully so. Again, his name is Aaron Rodgers, but I keep telling you guys it's not the same Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it. We're New York Giants fans. Of course, we peek at the New York Jets every now and again just to make sure that they're worse than us or doing just as bad as us. And guess what the New York Jets are? Just as bad as us with a roster that's a little bit better than ours. We'll see what happens, too, because Aaron Glenn might turn that ship around, too. Quicker than the New York Giants can try to. But I'm just sitting here talking like, how do we get here, man? From Matthew Stafford giving us hope for a week to now Aaron Rodgers and the fan base is eating that up too. It has to be nostalgia. It has to be nostalgia. I don't like it, but I do understand it. Let me get that out of the way. I don't like it, but I do understand it. I like it better than Matthew Stafford because, again, Matthew Stafford would cost you a lot more money and draft capital. So getting a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston would always be a better deal. A better deal. Maybe not on the field, definitely not on the field, but it would have been a better deal for what the New York Giants are trying to do. You can't put Band-Aids on bullet holes. That's one of those sayings, right? And right now, Matthew Stafford would have been a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. No, you need to get stitched up. You need to go see the doctor. You need to take your medicine. That's what the New York Giants need. You need to rebuild for real. And the New York Giants will have this chance this year to do that. You do everything possible to try to land Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. That's what you need to do. I know a lot of people are hot and cold on both of those quarterbacks, especially when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. I've never seen a more hated quarterback prospect in my life. Like, let's just be real. You have never seen, like, a lot of people don't even know why they don't like Shedeur Sanders. At least they'll come up with excuses about, they'll dismiss the numbers that he put up. They'll dismiss that he turned the program around and say, look at his competition. Look who he played against. Look who he played for. It's the Colorado Buffaloes. He was playing the same comp. He was playing comparable comp because he played for the Colorado Buffaloes. It's not like he played for Alabama or Michigan, Ohio State, and just was beaten up on the Big 12. No. He was on a team that was as weak as that division is, and he beat up on teams that way. So we can't just wipe away what the kid did and say, you know what, it was against weak competition or something like that. No. His team was weak, and his competition was weak, and he won the games. That's like saying the New York Giants beating the Washington Commanders all those years didn't count because the Washington Commanders sucked. No, we sucked too. We just were better than the Washington Commanders at that time. So that part I don't get. And then also everybody just loves Cam Ward. And he played for Washington State. He beat up on that, what was that, the Pac-12. He went to the ACC. He beat up on the ACC. But you don't hear that stuff when it comes to Cam Ward. And I'm not trying to hear it now either. But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, let me know how you guys feel about it. Are you in the camp of wanting Aaron Rodgers? Are you against wanting Aaron Rodgers in the Giants uniform? Again, for me, I don't like it, but I understand it. The New York Giants definitely need a veteran quarterback in the room, especially if you get a drafted rookie, Cam Ward-Shedeur Sanders. Definitely need a veteran presence, period. But man, Matthew Stafford yesterday, Aaron Rodgers today, almost called him Brett Favre. Good Lord, he's following the same career path as Brett Favre. It's funny, but yeah, we'll see what happens, man. We will see what happens. Free agency starts in 10 days, 11 days, something like that. We're definitely gonna get some answers here soon. Who knows what happens, man? Maybe a deal gets done by the end of the combine. But let me know what you guys think about it, man. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.